everyone here who's not from Elgin, Middlesex, London. A great riding in southwestern Ontario for an important announcement today. In particular, I want to welcome you to Elgin's Innovation Park, a wonderful transformation from the old Imperial Tobacco facility that is, I think, Jack and Jacob, if I'm right, just about 100% at capacity. I want to recognize Jack Baribeau for the great work he did in building this new business model, and his son Jacob will be speaking in a little bit. In particular, we're here at PacFab, one of the businesses that have chosen Elgin's Innovation Park to do great work. We're going to have a tour a little bit later on, but Dave Black, their Chief Operating Officer, is here. Welcome us, and in particular, give a round of applause to all the great PacFab employees who are getting it done for the people in this region. I want to welcome Minister Sam Oosterhoff from the Niagara region, where he's an MPP, and the Associate Minister of Energy, along with the parliamentary assistants, Rudy Cazzetto and Dave Smith, who are doing a great job in our energy sector and representing the people of this province as we power up, as they say. You know, in 2023, and I see Ian McCallum here and other folks that were around when we announced PowerCo. And since then, we've announced Vianode and many other major investments for southwestern Ontario, and in particular, Elgin, Middlesex, London. These have been game-changing announcements. They are really creating a new economy in our region, and we're seeing the growth take place. In particular, we're going to see at PowerCo alone over 3,000 new jobs, along with Vianode and others. Thousands upon thousands of jobs are coming our way. Game-changing investments for sure. And with that, obviously, we needed to ensure, as a province, that we had the needed and absolute valuable infrastructure put in the ground to help facilitate and accommodate this growth. So whether it's water, whether it's wastewater, whether it's policing, firefighting, healthcare, education, or whatever it may take, and today we're going to talk about electricity, but we need that important infrastructure to facilitate this growth. We're a growing province, 16.3 million people today. In particular, in London and surrounding regions, we've grown over 40,000 people in the last few years. Last year alone, and I'm seeing Emily Bradshaw back here, make sure I have the number right, but we announced over $1 billion of new infrastructure of all the things I talked about for Elgin, Middlesex, London. Important investments indeed. So I've got three needs I want to mention before we get on with the program. First of all, we need up to 90% more electricity in this region by 2050. 2050, 90% more electricity. That's massive infrastructure need. We need, secondly, to produce or procure this crucial capacity, electricity capacity, especially during our peak periods of demand. And third, we need to remain competitive. We need to keep costs down. We need to keep affordability on the menu. Premier Ford has said time and time again, we're going to compete, but we have to do so affordably, and really that's what today's announcement is about. So on behalf of all the residents of Elgin, Middlesex, London, Sam, thank you for choosing Elgin, Middlesex, London to make this announcement. And at this point in time, I would like to introduce Chuck Farmer, the Executive Vice President of the Power System Development of IESO, who's going to give some great remarks and tell us a little story about why we're growing and why we need this demand here in southwestern Ontario. Over to you, Chuck. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone, and it's great to be here. Thank you to Minister Flack for that very warm introduction, and to Minister Oosterhoff and our host PacFab for having me here today. I am Chuck Farmer. I'm the Executive Vice President of Power System Development at the Independent Electricity System Operator. And Ontario's electricity system is undergoing a period of profound transformation. Our forecasts show that demand will grow significantly in the coming decades, driven by economic development, our growing communities, and the continued electrification of industry and our everyday life. And we need to be ready to meet that demand and power new growth, and that will mean making generational investments to expand Ontario's diverse supply mix And we're taking on that challenge through a cadenced approach to procurement, securing new resources that will be ready to meet that demand as it appears. This work is well underway, with the ISO competitively procuring thousands of megawatts of new electricity supply in the past 4 years, including the largest storage procurement ever in Canada. And now it is my pleasure to turn the mic over to Associate Minister Oosterhoff to tell you how we are building on these successful procurements to date. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Chuck. Good morning, everyone. It is a true pleasure to be here, and I need to just acknowledge the incredible facilities that we're in as a testament to this community's tenacity and growth. The opportunities that are arriving in places like southwestern Ontario, I think, are typified by what we're seeing in Elgin and surrounding areas, in Elmer, and of course out to St. Thomas and other areas that are now really experiencing a renaissance. And a lot of that work is because of the leadership of local champions that you have here. I have to acknowledge Minister Rob Flack, a friend of mine, a friend of Niagara's as well, who's come down many times, and now to have the privilege to be able to join you here in your beautiful constituency to share some good news is very important. Chuck, you and your team do fantastic work at the ISO. We're grateful for your professionalism, your expertise, and your dedication. I have to acknowledge Jacob Barabo, the VP for Elgin Innovation Centre. I know you're going to be speaking in a few minutes, and I'm excited to hear you share with us. The work that we do wouldn't be possible without so many folks in the industry, and I have to acknowledge Colin Anderson with the Association of Power Producers of Ontario for his members' leadership on ensuring that we have the power that we can take for granted sometimes, and none of that work would be possible without parliamentary teams at Queen's Park who seek to bring forward strong policy. And I need to acknowledge David Smith and Rudy Cazzetto, the parliamentary assistants who are joining us and who have just been crucial in advocating for, again, reliable, secure, affordable power. It's a beautiful day to be here in Elgin County as we share another step forward in the plan of Minister Stephen Lecce and our entire government to protect Ontario, to build a more competitive, resilient, and self-reliant economy. That's what the Premier is advocating for every single day, and one of the key areas, of course, in ensuring that resilience and reliability is energy. We know that energy demand will increase significantly over the coming decades. Some estimates up to 90% in a high-growth scenario, and we're seeing high-growth scenarios play out across this province. Now, as we are in the midst of ongoing geopolitical changes, it's more important than ever to reinforce Ontario's electricity grid, so that the families, the workers, the businesses, the industries that are here behind me as well, are protected and powered by affordable electricity. We've seen our economy continue to grow at a rapid pace, and southwestern Ontario is a prime example of that. From the auto parts manufacturers who continue to move into this region, as well as growth in just a couple of kilometers away, or I guess more than a couple, but a few kilometers down the road in Leamington, Ontario, with the agricultural communities that are continuing to expand. They rely on a reliable electricity supply that can power that growth. The leadership and vision of our Premier, Doug Ford, and the Minister of Energy and Mines, Stephen Lecce, is crucial to advancing that project. Unlike the former Liberal government, who caused a 300% increase in hydro rates over the course of their term, we're following the Auditor General's recommendations and moving to competitive procurements. It harnesses the power of the market to ensure greater transparency, stronger accountability, and ultimately better long-term value for ratepayers. What does that mean? It means cheaper hydro than we would otherwise have had. It's by advancing competitive procurement that we are able to support the plan to protect Ontario as a key part of energy for generations. The long-term approach to ensuring our province has reliable, affordable power that it needs to be energy secure and also to drive growth, to protect jobs, and to support families. The integrated approach of the energy plan that we have here in the province is the first in Canada. And it also sets out record investments in energy infrastructure to provide that certainty needed for municipalities, for businesses, for industry partners, and for Indigenous communities to invest confidently in Ontario's future. They need to know that on the very hottest of days in the summer, the very coldest of days in the winter, the power will be there when and where we need it. Today, I'm pleased to share some of the results of the second long-term procurement, LT2, which we introduced to build on the success of recent competitive procurements like the first long-term procurement, LT1. We're very innovative with our titles for these procurement programs. We also have the expedited long-term request for proposals, ELT1. These initiatives together consist of the largest battery storage procurement in Canada, nearly 3,000 megawatts of battery storage secured and 1,000 megawatts of natural gas generation, our insurance policy that will enter Ontario's grid in the coming years by 2028. This is enough power to power approximately 4 million homes. 4 million homes during peak demand periods will support the province's growing population and economy. Now, as demand for electricity rises, Ontario remains an island of stability. We've seen the analysis from neighboring jurisdictions who are running short on electricity supply. But because of this work, we are building out a procurement system that will secure long-term system reliability and affordability for generations to come, not just thinking in terms of 4-year electoral cycles, but in terms of generational change. That's why today I'm excited to announce that we have secured the lowest cost electricity capacity procurement in Ontario's history. 640 megawatts in 3 selected projects under the capacity stream of the second long-term request for proposals. These projects will provide enough capacity to power approximately 640,000 homes across the province. And especially during periods of peak electricity demand, they will strengthen grid reliability by maximizing our energy infrastructure. The 3 projects have been awarded 20-year contracts. Commercial operations are expected to begin by May 1st of 2030. Through these projects, we have procured capacity at a price that is substantially lower than any of the capacity resources that were previously procured. The new battery storage capacity resources are 36% lower cost than the battery storage secured earlier through the ELT1 capacity procurement and 16% lower than the most recent LT1 capacity procurement. This is reinforcing, again, the importance of competitive procurements in driving down costs and securing our energy future. Together, these projects were selected using robust incentives to emphasize sole Canadian ownership, citing outside of prime agricultural areas, and emphasizing Northern Ontario. Now, importantly, we're marrying the opportunities of the North to the manufacturing might of the South. Equally importantly, all of these projects have received strong municipal support. Each of them includes First Nations partners with at least 50% equity ownership, helping to ensure that communities share directly in the economic benefits. What does this mean? Well, it means we're not only delivering solutions for the energy needs that we see in regions like southwestern Ontario, like Elgin Middlesex today, but also building out an energy system to support jobs, community development, and ultimately growth for decades to come. Across the 16 projects in the energy and capacity streams, this round of procurements has secured enough energy to power over 280,000 homes for a year and enough capacity to power a combined total of over 1,750 or 1.725 million megawatts of new electricity supply. With additional rounds to follow, we're going to keep that momentum going because we're advancing the largest energy expansion plans in our history. New nuclear, new transmission infrastructure, new energy efficiency programs putting money back into the pockets of hardworking families, and investments in emerging clean energy technologies. This is because of the vision that the Premier has articulated and Minister Lecce has articulated, working tirelessly to keep Ontario safe, to protect our province, but also to keep life affordable, to make Ontario the most competitive place to live, to work, and to grow business powered by clean and reliable energy. Today's announcement, although it's an important milestone, and as we continue this work, wouldn't happen without the incredible leadership of so many of our team at Queen's Park. And I have to acknowledge a couple of the folks who have really helped to lead that charge, delivering energy infrastructure that our province needs to create jobs and attract more investment, and the independence of our electricity system. I want to thank everyone who's been involved in making this reality and turn this over to someone who's led the charge, and that, of course, is Parliamentary Assistant Rudy Cazzetto. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Oosterhoff, for that introduction. And I'm honored to be here in Minister Flack's riding here in London. Thank you for inviting me here today. And I want to thank PacFab for having us here today. With electricity demand projected to increase by up to 90% over the next 25 years, our government is taking action to ensure families and businesses have the reliable and affordable power. Today, here in London, we have secured 640 megawatts of new energy storage capacity, enough electricity to support a city the size of London. This investment will make our electricity grid more reliable, flexible, and resilient as we continue to build homes, support growing communities, and attract major investments and good-paying jobs across the province. Projects like Volkswagen and other expanding industries need dependable power, and this procurement will help ensure Ontario has the energy capacity needed to power a growing community for years to come. And I want to thank you all for being here today. And with that, I would like to introduce Parliamentary Assistant David Smith up to the podium.
Good morning and thank you. I want to thank Minister Flack for inviting me here to Elgin, London, his strong riding, and I know that he's a man that never sleeps. He seems to keep London going. And Associate Minister, you're an amazing Associate Minister, are on all fronts working as a team with PA and Minister Lecce to bring this message very clear. This morning, I was happy to meet Mr. Dave Black, the CEO, and Chuck. You guys are great welcomers, and I'm very happy and delighted. You've heard what's going on, and I know that we sat down and had conversation about expanding beyond the auto sector. And you mentioned about getting into the mining space, and I must let you know it's a new beginning, and the power that we're going to need here to keep us going. We are working diligently to make certain that those energies are here to keep everyone well informed. This is a great community. Everyone that I met and spoke with here this morning indicate that, and we have to realize that energy is a major growth to the economy. And if we are looking at 90% more electricity, we are working to make certain that we can meet those growing demands to keep places like this open. And I want to thank Jacob, I haven't seen him, and his dad for allowing us in the place and space and talk about some of the history of this place. And I can see the conversion. I love it, the fact that you start from the bottom and you're rising and rising, and there's many more times for opening of more business in the sector that you're in. I'm actually blown away because I spent just a few short minutes, but I can tell you, I like to see economic growth, and we are going to deliver the power that I think this community needs. I want to thank the extended staff for the work that you guys are doing around here. I just went through the first door, and I can tell you I'm impressed. I would have never thought that Tesla, Hyundai, Toyota, and other places are doing work in a small county like Elgin, where we would not think it's happening. So I want to thank each and every one of you for being here and supporting this worthy cause. And we're going to be there every step of the way through our ministry and Premier Ford to make certain that the energies and the things that you need here are in place to increase those productivity. Thank you very much.
Now I'll invite Jacob Barabo, the Vice President of the Elgin Innovation Centre, to bring a few remarks as well.
Yeah, thank you, Minister Oosterhoff, for inviting me up here. As the Minister mentioned, my name is Jacob Barabo, and I'm here on behalf of the Elgin Innovation Centre. I believe this is a very fitting place for today's announcement. We're here in Elmer, in the heart of southwestern Ontario's manufacturing region. We're a powerhouse for manufacturing here. Investments like PowerCo battery plant is just 15 minutes down the road. But more importantly, this building itself is a good example of what can happen when you give businesses the right conditions to grow. My father and his business partners bought this facility in 2010 when it was an empty tobacco warehouse and cigarette manufacturing plant. They could have torn it down, but instead they saw an opportunity and they had a vision for what it could become. And they did the hard work to make it happen. Today, it is a 1 million square foot home for local entrepreneurs, for tradespeople, for advanced manufacturers, and growing businesses like PacFab, where we are in here today. And the reason that worked is pretty simple. In Elmer, in this area, we have great people. We have strong work ethic, we have access to affordable space, and we have access to reliable, affordable power. And for a business, those things really matter. Power costs show up in real operating budgets. They affect whether a company can expand, hire another employee, buy another machine, or take on bigger contracts. And in fact, we're seeing that here firsthand. Above our heads, we're investing in a 2-megawatt solar array on this roof of this facility. And we're doing that because it makes good business sense. It helps us manage long-term energy costs and help us remain competitive as we attract new manufacturers and tenants to the Elgin Innovation Center in Elgin County. That's the reality businesses are facing today. Energy isn't just a utility bill anymore. It's becoming a competitive advantage. And in today's economy, with tariffs, trade uncertainty, and rising costs, the ability to say yes to growth opportunities matters more than ever. If Ontario wants to keep attracting businesses here and building things here, we need to stay focused on the basics: affordable power, reliable infrastructure, skilled workers, and communities that are ready and willing to grow. Growth isn't easy, and that's why announcements like this really matter. They show that Ontario is planning ahead to make sure businesses have the electricity they need, not just for today, but for years down the road. So I want to congratulate Mr. Flack, Minister Oosterhoff, and everyone involved in this work today. Thank you for focusing on the fundamentals that help businesses grow, create jobs, and keep communities strong. And I also like to again thank PacFab for opening up their doors and allowing us to host this thing relatively short notice. So thank you very much, and thank you everybody for being here today.
As a reminder, it's one question, one follow-up.
And if there are no questions, that makes life even easier. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate it.